Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a very interesting Pokemon for the Open Great League that this battler believes can be a meta breaker. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, the Mega Junko, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now the Pokemon in question is PACHIRISU. PACHIRISU is a pure electric type Pokemon with only electric moves, Volt Switch, Thunder Punch, and Thunderbolt. But it has some very strong neutral matchups, and this trainer used it to climb up to number 36 in the entire world on the leaderboards. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, we're off to a pretty neutral start, leading PACHIRISU into Malamar. Malamar is going to strike first in this matchup. PACHIRISU, known for its monstrous bulk, is going to no-shield and take that move very comfortably. PACHIRISU now going to go for a Thunder Punch bait against the Malamar. Malamar is going to let that through, and now PACHIRISU is going to look for the devastating damage of a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is going to be shielded, and now with a shield advantage secured, Corviknight hits the field of play. Corviknight always going to be no shielding here, not particularly threatened by a foul play. Opponent now going to switch out and send in Diggersby. Diggersby, not a Pokemon that Corviknight particularly likes to see, but that Annihilate in the back will be able to absolutely feast. Corviknight is going to make it to a second Sky Attack, so Corviknight is able to do some pretty nice damage on the Diggersby. This is not Fire Punch range on the Corviknight. Corviknight should be able to hang on here. Quick Attack's not going to do a whole lot, so the opponent is going to look to pick up the knockout with the Fire Punch, but now this sets up Annihilate. Annihilate hits the field, quick switch back into the Malamar. Malamar going for the foul play, but Annihilate is more than happy to shield because if they're panic switching out of this matchup into their lead, odds are they don't have a good response to Annihilate in the back. Opponent is waiting their timer, and that prediction is correct. They do not have a good response to Annihilate in the back. It is Toxapex. Toxapex just has very minimal fast move damage here with these poison jabs being resisted due to the ghost subtyping, and Brine does not do a lot of damage either, so Annihilate just gets to ramp up more and more and more. Toxapex will go for the Brine. Annihilate going to shake off that damage. Annihilate going for another Rage Fist, just continuing to ramp up this pressure on the opponent. PACHIRISU did a pretty nice job in the early stages of this battle, getting damage on the Malamar, getting it low, getting a shield advantage, and then Annihilate just gets to completely run away with the game in the end game. Rage Fist KOs the Diggersby. In comes the Toxapex. That's getting countered down too, and that's a full Annihilate endgame sweep. Dominant lead for PACHIRISU, leading into Talonflame. Opponent is staying in this matchup. A lot of people do not respect electric damage when it comes to team building. PACHIRISU, they're actually on Flame Charge, so it will actually be able to hit for neutral damage, but PACHIRISU does not care about that damage. It's going to fire off the Thunder Punch, grab the shield, already on Thunder Punch number 2, and the opponent, they're forced to double shield without even forcing a shield themselves. They throw on alignment, so they're going to give PACHIRISU a free Volt Switch, probably because people are unfamiliar with PACHIRISU's counts, because when do you see a PACHIRISU in the Open Great League? Thunder Punch will pick up the KO. In comes Dugong. Oh my goodness, the PACHIRISU that could, barely able to hang on, making the Thunderbolt, and dealing devastating damage to that Dugong. Out comes Annihilate. Annihilate always going to no-shield here. Icy Wind, not a particularly threatening attack. And now the opponent is going to pivot out into Azumarill. So they were triple weak to electric, and they paid a serious price. They lost the whole Talonflame. They lost both their shields, and they lost like 2/3 of their Dugong as well. And now Corviknight, very comfortable going up against Azumarill. Azumarill is going to be firing off Ice Beam after Ice Beam, but as long as Annihilate has a shield, there realistically isn't a way for the opponent to win the game. Corviknight gets to throw the Sky Attack, and now, if you want to, you can just send in the Annihilate. Sky Attack is going to land. There is Annihilate. Annihilate will make it to the Rage Fist. This is some nice neutral damage, and if it doesn't quite knock out the Azumarill, some counters after will. In comes the Dugong, and that just gets farmed all the way down, and the opponent is going to concede the match. We've got same leads in the next match. PACHIRISU into Talonflame. Opponent safe switches into Morpeko, and that's going to be swiftly answered with Annihilate. Annihilate has to respect the Aura Wheel. It would do too much damage, and the opponent is going to full send. The fact that it was a full send is honestly very nice for the Annihilate, because now the Annihilate is not going to exit this matchup being debuffed due to a Psychic Fangs. Rage Fist will pick up the KO. The opponent now gets to send back in the Talonflame. Talonflame will take quite a bit of damage. The opponent does actually get the one-turn bring-in lag as they send in the Talon. Rage Fist going to be shielded, and getting that shield back is incredibly nice. Talonflame unable to farm down as Annihilate would have made another move. Fly picks up the KO. In comes Pachirisu, and even if you Brave Bird it, I mean, this is an electric type, and a bulky electric type at that. So Brave Bird, oh, they only go for the Fly. That's not going to cut it, and it's a Zoomerl in the back. Oh my goodness, these AVA weak to electric teams getting punished by the spicy Pachirisu. Pachirisu now building up to the Thunderbolt and going for Thunder Punch number 2. That is going to be no shielded by the opponent. Pachirisu now going to be met with a charge attack from the Azumarill, and we will see the shield. It is going to be the Play Rough. Can Pachirisu get the farm down here? Not quite, but there is a devastating catching onto the Corviknight. Corviknight, no problem taking that resisted Play Rough. In comes the Talonflame, but Talonflame, it's going to have to pull off miracles in this endgame here. Talonflame is going to try and exit with the back-to-back moves loaded, and it will get there. But this is a Pachirisu. Pachirisu's not dying to a Brave Bird here. There's absolutely no way. Talonflame, they can go for it, but it's not going to matter. Pachirisu tanks it like a champion. I told you it was bulky. Tanks the Brave Bird, knocking out the Talonflame, and exiting with the Thunderbolt loaded as well, KOing Azumarill, and that is a good game. Oh my goodness, this next opponent, Colin 6, is a multiple-time regional champion. Pachirisu versus Shadow Annihilate. Shadow Annihilate honestly does not have a particularly comfortable matchup against Pachirisu, because Shadow Annihilate is very used to being able to throw a Rage Fist and farming things down. But look at what the Pachirisu is able to do here. Pachirisu is able to put a ton of pressure onto the Annihilate. And Shadow Annihilate likes to try and shield things, but now the Annihilate is suddenly a lot lower than it would like to be. We actually see a switch into his own Annihilate. Opponent gonna send in Shadow Drapion, and Drapion can go for a crunch, but a regular Annihilate not going to be particularly threatened. Oh my goodness, it was an Aqua Tail bait. That is very unfortunate. That's going to be a CMP tie close combat to the next move, and that's going to be good night to the Drapion. Opponent now going to bring in Dugong, and Dugong, it is just bombs away for this Annihilate. Close combat after close combat, the switch back to the Pachirisu. In comes Annihilate. Annihilate unable to get the farm down as Pachirisu will make it to the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch will pick up the KO. Dugong gets the farm down, but this should be a winnable game. Corviknight will be able to tank a lot of moves, and after the Corviknight is double debuffed, you can just switch out into the Annihilate to reset that debuff. And having a shield here, also quite nice. Corviknight gonna fire off a Sky Attack at -1. Sky Attack is going to connect, and the Dugong, they just realized there is no way out, so the opponent will resign the match. Great lead, Pachirisu versus Toxapex. Toxapex is staying in. People don't know what to do against the Pachirisu, and Toxapex is very bulky, so Pachirisu gonna full send the Thunderbolt, and that is going to deal some pretty nice damage. Sludge Wave, it is a decently hard-hitting move, so let's see the damage onto the Pachirisu. Opponent baits with a Brine and Trainer. That is embarrassing damage. Farming up to the Thunderbolt, baiting with the Thunder Punch. The Thunder Punch bait is successful, grabbing a shield from the opponent. The opponent is going to fire off more energy. A Brine would not KO. They need a Sludge Wave here, but they are going to bait with another Brine. Pachirisu going to farm up, switch, and get a catch onto the Corviknight. Very nicely done. If the opponent's staying in there, clearly weak to electric somewhere in the back. And there we see it, as that is a Shadow Bibarel hitting the field of play. Shadow Bibarel, it is not a tanky mon. Sky Attack is going to do huge damage here. Bibarel now deep into the red health, as it's going to look to connect with a Surf. Surf onto the Corviknight, will get the Corviknight low. Corviknight unable to get the farm down. In comes Annihilate. The counter goes through, but not before the Surf is registered. Surf is going to grab the final shield from the Annihilate. It's going to be a Mandibuzz, and unfortunately, this is an Air Slash Mandibuzz as well. This is going to hit for super effective damage onto Annihilate. There's the switch to Pachirisu. In comes Toxapex, but Toxapex gets farmed down. Pachirisu met once again with the Mandibuzz, going for the Thunder Punch bait. That's going to be no shielded by the opponent. Pachirisu now looking to connect with some hard-hitting damage with the Thunderbolt. Opponent is going to commit the shield. Pachirisu gets to the Thunderbolt. Opponent tried to air slash down, but they were not able to do so. Pachirisu barely clinging to life, but it's able to clutch the win. We've got Pachirisu versus Shadow Drapion in the next match, and I'm very intrigued to see how this matchup goes. Drapion, of course, is going to have a pacing advantage here. Drapion fires off the crunch. Pachirisu does take that quite well. Pachirisu now going for the Thunder Punch at the Drapion. Drapion is going to no-shield, but Pachirisu already at Thunder Punch number 2. Drapion now with a choice to make, deciding to commit the shield. Pachirisu just going to let this go. Drapion connects with another crunch. Pachirisu does get its defense dropped and will get farmed down as a result. In comes Corviknight. Corviknight more than happy to take damage, and I guess the hope is Corviknight energy plus a 2-shield Annihilate will be enough to take home victory. Well, that's off to a good start, as it's going to be a Dugong hitting the field of play for the opponent, and Annihilate loves to see this. Shield on the Icy Wind, farming up to this close combat, but baiting with the Rage Fist. The Rage Fist is going to be no-shielded. Annihilate will be able to throw another Rage Fist, and now this is back to normal damage. The Icy Wind debuff has been undone by the effects of the first Rage Fist, and now Annihilate is choosing to let this go. Icy Wind will not knock out. The opponent has Azumarill in the back, and Azumarill could potentially still be a bit problematic here, as there's just not a lot of health to go around. There is still a shield to hide behind, but Corviknight is getting closer to Ice Beam range. I think it can hang on, but it's going to be very close. Ice Beam connects. Corviknight able to survive. It gets to the Sky Attack, and this is very valuable damage onto the Azumarill. Azumarill is going to get a farm down, however, and that does make things a little bit scary, but Annihilate had some residual energy, gets to the Rage Fist. Rage Fist at the Azumarill picks up the KO. Drapion gets farmed down. It's boosted. Dugong gets farmed down as well, and I did not think that game was going to go well, but Shadow Annihilate takes the win. Pachirisu versus another Talonflame. We've seen this play out quite a few times, and Pachirisu just absolutely dominates here. Pachi, very comfortable no shield as the opponent will full send the Brave Bird, and now the opponent is going to send out a shiny Toxapex, and this poor shiny Toxapex is about to get absolutely bullied by Corviknight. I have been the Toxapex in this matchup, and it is a thoroughly miserable spot to be in. Your brines do nothing, your poison jabs do nothing, and Corviknight just continues to fly high. Corviknight more than happy to no shield, can even potentially look to overfarm quite a bit here and look to exit with energy. Toxapex desperately trying to make it to another brine, but they cannot get there before the Sky Attack is reached. Sky Attack is going to leave this Toxapex quite low, and that's going to set up a Sand Attack farm down, so Corviknight will get to exit with a Charge Attack like it wanted to, and that Charge Attack will inflict some solid damage onto the Talonflame. Talonflame can survive this, but not by much. It is going to be into the red health, so Talonflame now very low. Pachirisu answered with Superior, and that is not what Pachirisu wants to see whatsoever. Annihilate hits the field, but it's behind on energy. Aerial Ace bait from the opponent gets the shield. Annihilate needs to get as much damage as it possibly can. The opponent has the ability to shield Rage Fist, but as always with Annihilate, the scary thing is, if you're the opponent, you're unable to shield the fast moves. Annihilate Rage Fist is going to be shielded. At this point, you could consider letting it go, and that's exactly what he's going to do. The opponent full sends the Frenzy Plant. That picks up the knockout. Pachirisu has energy for days. Striking first with the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch not going to do a ton, but this Thunderbolt after will be able to KO Superior. Superior is a complete wall to Pachirisu, yet it gets KO'd. In comes the Talonflame. Talonflame gets knocked out of the skies, and Pachirisu is on a rampage. Pachirisu, Shadow Drapion. We have seen this matchup, and it honestly seemed to be pretty decent for the Pachirisu. I did pull up PvPoke, and it looks like that Pachirisu can win the 0s and the 2s here, if I'm not mistaken. So, pretty cool stuff for Pachirisu, a Pokemon that I never would have guessed would have this much play into the meta. Pachirisu going for Thunder Punch number 2. We see a shield and a change in play pattern. Going to save switch to Corviknight. Opponent banks a ton of energy on that Shadow Drapion for later and sends out Dugong. Dugong is pretty effective at neutralizing Corviknight, just due to the fact that it's able to fire off these Icy Winds. And once Corviknight is debuffed, it doesn't have the ability to throw 2 Sky Attacks and Sand Attack down like it would typically want to. Farming up just shy of 100 energy, so absolutely getting to the max, going for that Sky Attack, and you could potentially see a switch out here, saving of this energy. We are seeing the switch out, and Annihilape is able to get the farm down. Out comes Azumarill, but this is honestly looking like a win for Junko. Junko's up energy on the Annihilape. There's a stored move on this Corviknight, and Pachirisu still has some pretty nice health as well. Junko with the no shield, Azumarill with the Ice Beam. Oh my goodness. That is stone cold there, calling that bait, and now the opponent is in absolute shambles. Azumarill forced to fire off another move, and Junko's fine letting this go. This Ice Beam will pick up the knockout, but there is still Pachirisu. Drapion hits the field, it banked a ton of energy before switching out, and now this is what the shields have been saved for. The opponent grabbing all the shields that they can with charge attacks, but in comes the Azumarill, and Pachirisu doesn't even need its energy, it's fully committing to the farm down. The final match is a rematch, Junko versus Cullen 6 once again. Pachirisu versus Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff so slow to get the charge move, so Pachirisu gets the strike first with a Thunder Punch bait. Thunder Punch into the Wigglytuff is going to be shielded, and we will see an undertap of Thunder Punch number 2, as if he had thrown the Volt Switch, then Cullen could have potentially gone for a debuff with the Icy Wind. Cullen's going to save the energy, save switch into Shadow Drapion, and Corviknight hits the field. Corviknight able to shrug off that damage and look to connect with a Sky Attack. Sky Attack won't knock out, but it will do a lot of damage to the Drapion. A surprise to me, as the Drapion will use the final shield. So either the remainder of the team is very weak to Corviknight, or Cullen is just seeing that Drapion will have a lot of value. Junko is fully letting the Corviknight go. Aqua Tail will pick up the knockout, a 2-0 shield advantage. That's something Annihilape loves to see. Annihilape is going to finally use the first Protect Shield of the match on a Crunch, and the Crunch does actually get the defense drop. Annihilape just at such an advantage here. We see a switch into the Pachirisu as the Icy Wind is fired off by the Wigglytuff. In the back is Shadow Marowak. Pachirisu now debuffed and throwing a double resisted Thunder Punch that heals the Marowak, and Marowak gets the farm down. Annihilape hits the field, immediately met with the Bone Club, and we will see a shield used by the Annihilape. Annihilape getting ever closer to the back-to-back close combats. The Bone Club is reached by the Shadow Marowak. This is going to be getting Annihilape low, but Annihilape gets to the double close combat. And this has to be enough. Close combat number 1 picks up the knockout. Can close combat number 2 deliver the victory here against the Wigglytuff, hitting all the bubbles, knocking out the Wigglytuff, and securing the win? All in all, I feel very impressed by seeing Pachirisu's performance in these battles. Pachirisu is a Pokemon that, to balance it, it has no coverage. It's a pure electric type, and it only has electric type moves. But even then, in a lot of these neutral meta matchups, it definitely looked like it was holding its own. So, as someone who does have a Pachirisu built himself, I'm now curious to potentially try it out and see if I can get it to work as well as he did, because climbing up to page 1 top 50 in the world is quite the accomplishment, and I think does lend some credibility to Pachirisu being a bit underrated. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.